Now all the West Coast teams have got their quarterbacks in place, right? So that whole West Coast stream's out of the question. Vegas is kind of close, obviously, but they go get Geno Smith now. That's out of the question. The Giants have been in the big mentioning point. The Vikings kind of entered. I want to say the Seahawks, that was one that entered as a dark horse earlier today, as potentially a landing spot for Aaron Rodgers, and that's on the West Coast. That might make more sense than any, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron ends up in Pittsburgh, you know?
I mean, I could see it, but boy, look at that locker room is.
Could you imagine him trying to
that locker room? I mean, you might as well just get what's that guy? Dig up Aaron Hernandez, throw him in there as well. You know,
easy.
Just saying.
Unbelievable. I was going to say something.
That's terrible.
That is terrible, Chuck. Could you imagine the first time that Aaron looks out at Pickens or DK and goes,
"Yeah,
how that's going to go?" Woo-wee. So there you go. Harold Landry. Obviously lands with the Patriots and back with Mike Vrabel. Now, we had a big quarterback deal that went down earlier today, obviously, right before we went live, as a matter of fact. I like it when teams reward their players like this. Josh Allen obviously had a huge year, right? NFL MVP. Ari Meirov tweeted out, breaking, the Bills and quarterback Josh Allen have agreed to a 6-year, $330 million contract that includes $250 million guaranteed per Adam Schefter. The reigning NFL MVP has cashed in with a monster deal. So I think he had like 2 or 3 years left on his contract, and they went out there and gave him that deal. I like that stuff. I think it really tells your team, hey, look, man, you go out and perform, we will reward you. And make no mistake about it, Josh Allen's the leader of the Bills. That's what that contract says too. So he's got complete control over that locker room. He's the big dog in charge. I like the rewarding, but boys, that's a lot of money in it. 6 years, $330.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a stat right now that says Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence are both making $55 million a year. It doesn't feel right. Quarterback market is weird. Is that? I guess that would be true, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So. I mean, we talked about it before that, you know, either you're going to pay these guys or you're going to wait a little bit and then have to pay them even more because the market keeps getting pushed up and up and up. And every year it seems like everybody gets a little shocked by these numbers. But I mean, you talk about a guy that deserves it. He's done all the right things from the start of his career. I mean, I remember when they drafted the shot of the Bills fans just losing their minds because they drafted Josh Allen. I can't remember who they wanted, but they wanted somebody that did not pan out, and they should be thanking their lucky stars that Josh Allen was kind enough to be like, all right, I'll take this whole organization, this whole city, put it on my back and go ahead and he has to figure out a way to beat Mahomes, but I think there's probably not a quarterback more deserving of getting the bag than him.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Tim? Anything to add to the Josh Allen contract there, big dog?
Man, $250 million, man. Holy cow.
That lot bill is going to be, I'd go ahead now. I would feel comfortable enough put the lot bill on auto pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. That and a handful of other bills probably as well.
Your Oval Office membership, all that. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the VIP card. Jacob knows all about those.
He orders guacamole, and they're like, it's extra. And he goes, I know.
Like, I know. And I'll take that second helping of avocado toast while I'm at it. No, good for him, man. You know, and that's really Buffalo is just securing their future as well, right? They don't want to be in a situation where they're looking for a quarterback in a couple of years. So makes sense. You know, he's gotten them pretty close, knocked on the door. You got to pay that man. So yeah, good for him.
You know what's insane is even with that monster contract, Deshaun Watson, I think, is still right there as the biggest, largest quarterback contract, and everybody like just it's so hilarious that people just didn't you tell me, Clayton, that like the scouts and all the agents and stuff, they're like, we just don't acknowledge that ever happened. That number doesn't exist as far as when you're negotiating.
I'll tell you what, Deshaun Watson's on a yacht somewhere in the ocean counting that money, having the time of his life, so it's pretty real to him.
Yeah. What number were you talking about, Jacob? I was sending a text to Mandy like, please shut the door for God's sake. What number were you specifically referring to there? Like it didn't matter. What was it you said?
They were just comparing the Deshaun Watson contract to Josh Allen as being the two largest for quarterbacks, and then there's a massive gap, It falls off. Yeah, where was it? Most guaranteed money in signing history. $250 million, Josh Allen, Buffalo. $230 million, Deshaun Watson. And then it says huge gap. And then Joe Burrow with 146, and so on and so on. But that to me still is unreal.
Yeah, the players' union at one point, and maybe they followed through, I don't know, were threatening to file a grievance against the league for collusion, because once the Deshaun Watson contract happened from the Haslams in Cleveland, surprise, right? When that happened, the next thing you know, that should be the precedent set now, right? That should be like, okay, there's the new number. And the rest of the league, all of a sudden, at one point, it came together and was like, no, it's not. We're just going to pretend like it didn't even happen. That's why they were, accusing them of colluding. Listen, I don't blame them for colluding. You got one guy going rogue like that. That's not how we all feel. That's not the new market. He's an idiot. That's the dude who can't afford his house payment and went and bought a Porsche. That doesn't mean the rest of the neighborhood is car broke. You know what I mean? Like, not doing it. And just so happened that Porsche needed more than an alternator. You know what I'm saying? That thing is they're in a bad spot over there. But they'll sure shell out the cash. There's no doubt about that, man. Let's see. 2-0 for this says, do you think a few deals are already done, just waiting until it's legal to announce them? They're not supposed to be talking, those that are still under contract, right? The way this works, guys, these, and I know you guys know this, in case if there's one person out there that doesn't know this, then it's good information. These deals that you're seeing get done quick, teams have typically either granted a player, hey, go get a deal, or they went ahead and cut them loose so they could go ahead and sign a deal early. But those players that were under contract through this year, the new league year hasn't started yet, right? So obviously tomorrow that will begin. So they technically aren't supposed to be talking. And what that does is that gives the current team that they have under contract kind of full negotiating power with that player to try to re-sign them until the last second, right? So that's why I will say this, we're seeing more of this than I've ever seen before. Last year it seemed like it held off until bang, everything broke loose the day of free agency. This year it was totally different. It seemed like there was more of this going on, and a lot more players being granted freedom to go try to find a trade as well. So, but yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of that going on behind the scenes too over this. Mm-hmm. I think the whole tampering thing's silly. Like, it's happening. Teams are talking to players, coaches are talking to old players, teammates are talking to each other. Old teammates are, reaching out to each other. You think for a second that Josh Jacobs didn't reach out to Devontae Adams and be like, hey, man, you should come to Green Bay. Like that stuff happens. I think it's silly to have a tampering, penalty or charge there. I just think it's kind of weird, but that's just me. We had another deal break here as nothing like crazy, but I believe is this Clay Matthews' what is it, his cousin, I think
so. Yeah, I was just looking at that.
He was still playing. That's wild. So Ian Rappaport tweeted out a massive Falcons extension for one of their best and most durable players. Mike Garafolo tweeted out from NFL Network, the Falcons agreed to a 2-year, $45 million extension with left tackle Jake Matthews. Sources tell me in Rap Sheet, Matthews gets $38 million fully guaranteed the next 2 seasons, years 12 and 13 as Atlanta's front side protector. It says deal done by Ryan Williams, A1, and Athletes First. So obviously Jake Matthews inking a 2-year extension with the Atlanta Falcons. When I first seen that uniform, I went, "Oh, is this Drew Dalman? Did he sign with?" Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's like I said, Jake Matthews getting him a 2-year extension. So if you guys want to hit the chat for a second, I will comb through and make sure no other news is broke up to the moment here.
Man, Jake Matthews has been so consistent his whole career. What a absolute elite pass blocker for the last almost 10 years. Just the lowest grade he's had was his rookie year where he barely played. But other than that, I mean, he is just consistently in the mid-80s pass blocking grade. That guy is a stud.
Yeah, completely agree. Looks like we're all cut up, man. It may have cooled off here now. So we may be good on all the updates.
Did you see it? We've been talking about 3 techs and interior defensive line. Jerron Reed, we had him for a hot stint in Green Bay, and I feel like people did not really like the guy or give him much credit, but he went to Seattle, and they loved him there, and they just re-signed him again, an extension. And I'm just wondering, is that one of those players that we maybe didn't give enough time, reps, attention, or were we just, is it a different fit? You know what I mean? Because that seems weird.
I felt like he was a decent player. for the price. We got him for real cheap because Seattle didn't want to pay him, right? And then he came out and he stayed somewhat healthy, and obviously played decent for the Packers. That earned him another contract in Seattle. And I've seen that they re-signed him too. I'm not gonna BS you, Jacob. When I seen the number, I thought it was a little high for Jarran Reed, but they obviously like him. So kudos to him. Getting another contract out there in Seattle because it seems to be somewhat of a fit. It really does.
Man, his grades are not good. I shouldn't
say
they're not terrible, but they're not great. I mean, his best year of his whole career was last year, a 70.6. That was most of his career has been in the mid 60s and mid 50s.
Right. That's how I remembered him too, for sure. Let's see. Chuck points out Matthews is 31 years old as well, so yeah, pretty interesting there. It's cool to see him show a little more longevity there. He's been a solid player for the Falcons. I got a good buddy that's a big Falcons fan and really, really like Jake Matthews. Comes from that pedigree, that's for sure, man.
I was gonna say that family has got just NFL blood running through them.
Yeah. This video hit the interwebs earlier today, and boy, did it spark some conversation. Either people loved it or they hated it. This is showing Jayden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, and Romeo Doubs working on footwork, doing route run and stuff like that in the offseason here, kind of getting ready. Boy, I'm telling you, if you just focus on the feet, whether you think these guys are great receivers or not, think of you trying to do that as an average human being. Like, seriously. The coordination it takes you out there is just wild to me. But they're out there working on that craft. I thought it was a positive thing. For some reason, a portion of the fan base want to take it, use it as an opportunity to go, oh, what about the drops? Okay. Well, this is why we can't have nice things, Pepper. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just appreciate the fact that, when Ja didn't show up the offseason stuff, when Aaron didn't show up the offseason stuff, we roasted them. These guys are out there working out, trying to get better, and we're roasting them. So I thought this was a positive thing, man. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I mean, you spelled Don Travion wrong, but besides that,
That's right. I forgot about that. Coach Lynn in the chat. I just like all three are working out together and not two of them. Bingo. Last year, it was just Jayden Reed and Dontavion. Probably a good sign that Dobby's out there with them, right?
I agree. Mm-hmm. And let's all remember that none of these guys are required to do a damn thing right now. This is their time of the year to, do whatever they want. And they're choosing to keep working on the craft. And it says a lot about some young receivers here. So I don't get the negativity seeing these guys work on routes and release and, things like that. So I think it's good. This is positive.
Yeah, something else positive in this clip, too, over this says Zane Anderson has great coverage in these clips. You just can't see it. I'm really excited to get Zane Anderson back, man. I think that's for the price that we got him back and the rest of the restricted free agents and all that. I think you got a good little core there on the bottom side of the roster. Now let's go add some top end talent if you can here tomorrow in the next couple of days, and obviously make a splash in the draft as well. One comment I did top earlier on Twitter was, look, you can be disappointed, but don't act surprised that we didn't go out and do something just astronomical, trading for a Myles Garrett or a DK Metcalf or something. Like if we build our hopes up thinking that we were going to do something that we'd never done in the past, that's on us. That's kind of is what it is, and it's just Goody, man. He's got ice in his veins. He's gonna hold pat and not overpay. He's looking for that deal, but he's willing to pay for the right guys for sure, man.
I feel like Packer fans too, like they start seeing the hustle and bustle of the free agent signings, and they get like that FOMO, and they're like, we got to do something, we got to sign someone, and it's like, no, dude, when you start panicking and doing stuff out of like, without being, like you said, cool and rational and thinking about what actually makes sense for your team, you don't just like. I feel like too many fans are just like, well, we didn't sign anybody. Goody's the worst GM ever, blah, blah. No, dude, you just take a sit. Just sit down and just chill and just look at it rationally through the eyes of a guy that actually his butt is on the line if he pays somebody $30 million and he comes in and he plays like he's worth $2 million. You know what I mean? Like, just chill.
Definitely. Judy in the chat says, now that the dust has settled, who do you think the Packers are going to get, if anybody? That's a great question, man. Great question.
As far as free agency?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
I think Goody's cooking up a big, fat, greasy nothing burger. I really do.
And, we started this offseason kind of talking about that. Like, last year we were very vocal on this show. It was, man, here's 2 or 3 guys we really like. right? Like that would be worth the money. This year, I feel like the only two I'm coming up with is Khalil Mack and Godwin. It's been like this since day one. But I'm being 100% honest. I don't feel the same way about them that I did Xavier McKinney last year. Like I'm not sitting there going, man, please go get him. Please go get him. It's just those are the two that make sense. But I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of hope that, and maybe we add a veteran or two at the the median level. I do know this: we need to get some age on this roster. I know it's a young man's game, and I get all that, but if we go with the youngest roster again, then we can't be up here screaming Super Bowl. We can't be up here going, all right, we're ready, boys, because we would be the first team in the history of the NFL, just like I said all last year, to win a Super Bowl with the youngest roster. So they got to get some veteran leadership on that team a little bit more. And I know these guys are going to be 1 year older, but we all know they're also going to add, anywhere from 7 to 10 prospects or 7 to 10 rookies. That's going to drive that age back down, and we're going to be right back in the same boat. So I do want to see some veteran leadership. Another one is Drew Dalman. Like Drew Dalman at center, if we went and gave him somewhere between $6 to $10 million, I'd be totally on board with that. Totally on board with that. But I also understand the point of if you really, really, really like what you see in Jacob Monk, or if you want to kick Elton to center and pop Jordan Morgan over to left guard and then build depth with the draft, I get that mindset too. I do. All I'm saying, I don't want to pile on Josh Myers too much, and there's still a chance that the market isn't there for him and Goody brings him back. But I feel like the offensive line would be better. This is my personal opinion. Would be better if Elton was playing center and Jordan Morgan was starting a left guard. I feel like that's an overall improvement with Josh Myers not playing center. That's just me personally. Now, if Josh Myers' market isn't there and you can get him for less than $5 million per, I wouldn't mind to see him back on the team if we create an open competition for center. That's the part that's bothered me about the whole Josh Myers experience is there's never been a competition at center.
Right.
It's just
that's weird. I think he's going to get way too much money for us to justify bringing him back. I really do.
Feels like it. Yeah. And you know what, Jacob, as you're saying that too, if he's getting way more, than we could justify bringing him back for, Drew Dalman probably is too, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing is that's what I was listening to a few podcasts today, and they were talking about how Drew Dalman's clearly the best free agent center. So it's like when you're clearly the best free agent center, I have to think that his agent is going to be well versed enough to be like, look, man, I got 4 or 5 people trying to bring me to the dance. What are you gonna give me? What are you gonna do? And I think that that's going to be outpacing where a level. What would we say? 8 to 10 would be comfortable with. I know that's kind of where I would be. I think he's probably going to get more than that. But also, we won't go into it. We won't get specific. But it sounds like Odell Beckham Jr. is having himself quite a interesting night. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
What is it? Hold up now.
Wait a minute. That's terrible. What the hell does that mean?
He was just named in a court hearing connected to Sean Diddy Combs and was accused of some pretty horrible stuff.
Jacob, why are you bringing it up on here? We didn't ask details.
I'm just trying to watch it.
No, I got you, man. That is wild. Would not surprise me, man. That strange video that popped up of him and Justin Bieber a long time ago was really,
bro.
That was me going, oh boy, this don't look good at all. So we got a couple things here from Diana Rossini. If I can find it, I know I've seen it here just a second ago. Let me just pop her Twitter page up here on the screen and explain to you guys what we're hearing from her. I got to add her to my insiders list, man. She's been all over some of this stuff for sure. Diana Rossini been on the ball here lately. All right, so here we go. Many teams, you see right here, this bottom tweet, many teams around the league are waiting to see if wide receiver Chris Godwin will hit free agency or if Tampa will bring him back. The plan has always been to test free agency, but as we saw last year with Mike Evans, Tampa can get deals done. So it sounds like there's multiple teams interested in Chris Godwin. That's probably her getting that information from his camp, and they're trying to build value. I still think it could be true. So tomorrow, if by the time free agency officially opens tomorrow, the legal tampering period, when it opens, if he's not signed by Tampa, probably going to see multiple teams start to fire off offers on him. So this one right here is what really caught my attention. Diana Rossini tweeted out, the Steelers are expected to make an offer to pending free agent Sam Darnold per source. Many around the league believe Darnold will wind up in Seattle, but Pittsburgh is doing its due diligence on any potential options ahead of the new league year. This is the first time I've read this. Have you guys seen Sam Darnold potentially linked to Pittsburgh?
No.
That's interesting. Now, that could also be his camp saying, hey, Pittsburgh's interested in too, Seattle, to try to drive that price up. So could be a little bit of that going on there as well. So Holmes just, Lord have mercy. Jacob, this is your fault.
It's all Jacob's fault.
I'm just reporting the news, guys.
Field day now.
Hate the player, don't hate the game. Or hate the player, hate the game.
Just reporting the news, he said. It's going to be my new breaking news. We're not going to use the normal breaking news soundbite whenever Jacob's got new news. I'm just going to hit this.
Could be a crackhead. You got hold to the wrong stuff.
There you go.
You heard it from a fan right here.
I think this was interesting. Diana Rossini, I think they both work at The Athletic or for The Athletic, her and Matt Schneiden, but she retweeted this 36 minutes ago. This is probably what they were referring to with Matt Schneiden in the chat here. I'm told the Packers never made an offer to the Seahawks for DK Metcalf, contrary to multiple reports. Brian Gutekunst and John Schneider are good friends from their time together in Green Bay, but a deal between the two for Metcalf was never a realistic possibility. So looking back, I feel like we did pretty damn good reporting on the DK rumors.
Yeah.
Because we always came back to the Matt Schneiden originally saying, hey, my sources are saying this ain't real. We still did the due diligence and talked about it, which you got to do, but I think we handled it pretty good for sure. So anything else you boys want to hit on, man? We could take it in any direction. Be nice if we can get another 20 minutes hanging out with the crew. I know the chat's lit up. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you would hit that like button while you're in here. Go ahead, Jacob. Were you going to say something, man?
I haven't read about the wintry or the really warm weather there in Pittsburgh. Isn't that kind of it's almost as if money controlled and everything that he was saying was BS. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen Ryan's tweet, Ryan Schlip over Packernet Podcast, but he tweeted out a video. You remember the intro video to the Drew Carey show, Cleveland Rocks?
Yeah.
This was tweeted out by Hater Report, and it said, Myles Garrett, Cleveland, trade me. I want to win a Super Bowl. Myles Garrett after a $123.5 million extension, and it's Drew Carey singing Cleveland Rocks.
Hey, look, if you offered me 100 and whatever, however many million, if you offered me $10,000, I am ashamed to say what I would do. All right,
Jacob, if the Minnesota Vikings offered you $10,000 to be a fan, would you do it?
No.
20,000.
No.
It got quiet.
The fact that you had to think pisses me off.
Like, what kind of fan do I sit alone in my house and I never let anybody see me, or like, do I got to be out on the street? Do I got to wear the jersey? You know,
see, we need a cricket soundbite. That would have been perfect right there. Well, he got quiet. It's like $20,000. I could buy 2 more shotguns. A lot of things went through that man's head just now, for sure.
Just work
Josh Martin said, "I
at
can use
the office."
What's that?
He can just work a couple extra shifts at the office. He'll be all right.
Yeah.
Josh Martin said he's thinking
Josh,
about 20 G's too. He said a fan for life or just a year.
Right.
1 year. Let's call it a 3-year, $60,000 deal with 18 guaranteed.
I was going to say, is that guaranteed? All right.
Chuck called you a traitor, man. No, he called you a fair weather fan. Jake G126 said traitor. Man, y'all harsh in here.
God, man. Tell you what.
Good stuff, man. That broke
Not
me
enough.
up.
You live so close to him. I mean,
10,000. No. 20,000. No.
No. Well, what? I guess. What would you say is the most shocking signing of the day for you guys, or most maybe overpaid or shocking, or which one do you think was either the best or the worst? I mean,
that's I think the best question, Jacob, to ask there is what was the best signing, right? Like which signing was like, man, that was a good deal. The team did good there. I got to be real. None of them pop off the page to me like, wow, that was a good deal for the team.
Matthews in Atlanta.
I was going to say Matthews in Atlanta. Honestly, Aaron Jones in Minnesota.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
DK's not there. That's not the one. Josh Allen. I think there's some positive to rewarding him early and now you can get out in front of that whole cap situation because
Yep.
all that guaranteed money. If you've got him under contract for that long, you can tack on 4 or 5 voidable years and lower that cap number down. You got stability in your quarterback room. Everybody knows who the leader of the organization is. There's a lot more positives than negatives with that whole situation, in my opinion. That's probably another one that sticks out to me. But yeah, unfortunately, I think the Aaron Jones deal is a pretty good deal there for the Vikings. For sure.
What do you guys think about this? And don't jump down my throat, chat. Okay, this is just a proposal here. No, it's not. It's not crazy at all. It says report: the Eagles are holding out hope to get at least a 4th-round pick for tight end Dallas Goedert.
Nope.
Now,
Nope.
5th-round pick, you wouldn't be willing to give that for Dallas Goedert, and then you have a double tight end threat there. Tim, you don't like that?
No.
Tim, it's Dallas
Damn.
Goedert. Jacob, can you look up the PFF grades? I'm going to go
Sure
to
can.
Dallas Goedert. He's not a free agent, right? So I'm going to have to actually go to his SPO track page. I'm going to see if I can figure out what his contract looks like. I feel like at one point Dallas Goedert was a good football player. I don't know if he still is.
This might surprise you here, Clayton. His grades starting in 2018 when he entered the league. Dallas Goedert is 6'5", 256 from the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Thank you, Tim. Did I change your mind now a little bit? 2018, 75.4. 2019, 82.7. 2020, 79.7. 2021, 90.7. 2022 was a 78.2. 2023, 71 flat. This last year was a 72.6.
Holy crap. Are you trying to convince me?
Why are you being a hater, Tim?
I thought it was
Well,
pretty solid.
explain the decline rapidly in the last 3 years. If we're just going off the grades, he went from 80s and 90s to low 70s, and I'm supposed to be excited.
78, 71, then 72.
Yeah.
Jacob said, "What do you think about Dallas Goedert?" And Tim
I
said,
don't want to pat you on the butt, and you keep my hand.
So his contract currently 1 year left on his deal. That's probably why they're looking to trade him, right? The cap hit this year is $12 million. They did the option proration, so I imagine that would probably travel. So, if you were to trade for him, if I'm looking at it correctly here, workout bonus, everything involved, it looks like it'd be around $11 million. No, it'd probably be around $8 million against the cap if you brought him in.
Let's just pay Mercedes Lewis $2.5 million. Bring him back.
Tim, is he still in that rack?
He's a blocker.
Yeah. If he can walk, can he walk? How old is he now?
He's only 40, man. What are you talking
He's probably
about?
been watching the news.
40's the new 30.
He's probably watching the news going, man, I'm not going to get that Social Security check. I better keep playing. You know, the government done spent that on a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't even mention. But anyway, Coach Lynn, I'd rather Green Bay go for Michael Mayer. Hey,
that'd be cool.
I'd be on board with that for the right price. That's what I'm always saying here, of course. Yeah, you know, when you talk tight end, the reason I didn't scoff at it, Jacob, is because I'm not sold on Musgrave. He's tougher than a $2 steak. Don't get me wrong. That dude, internal bleeding, finishing ball games and stuff, you got to love that about him. But if you're going to try to press, one way that you can reduce the damage of Christian Watson being out at least half, maybe 3/4 of the season is to really press into 12 personnel. Mm-hmm. And if you've got somebody like a Dallas Goedert there with Tucker Kraft, that could get interesting. That could get real interesting. But you could also get Harold Fannin Jr. in the draft. You can do something like that. And honestly, man, when you look at our draft board, if I were to put it up here real quick, and you kind of see where the Packers have spent a little bit of their time in terms of visiting with prospects, like look at the cheese emojis over here, okay? So you got James Pierce Jr., right, edge defender, Colston Loveland tight end, right, defensive tackle, corner. And if you go on down, matter of fact, let's just sort it by tight end real quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see how many tight ends they actually met with here. And these will be in the order of our grade, but we won't know exactly where they're ranked on the board doing it this way. But when you go to the tight end position, Ty Warren they didn't visit with, which we know he's going to be long gone. Colston Loveland they met with. They did not meet with Mason Taylor, but they did meet with Harold Fanning Jr. So, two of the top 5 tight ends the Packers have actually already met with. Kind of makes you wonder, they looking to do that in the second or third round again. And if you do that, let's say you take Harold Fannin Jr. in the third round. Let's say that's the pick, right? If you go that route, he's competing with Musgrave for that number 2 tight end spot. And now I would imagine it's either Ben Sims or Fitzpatrick that's going to have to go to the practice squad, right? So you build a little depth, which injury has been a problem trying to stay with 12 personnel and Luke battling those injuries. I don't think that would be a bad move at all. If you get someone like Harold Fannin Jr. that he could flex out and play that Y flex, play a little boundary, get out there and run a little receiver against a mismatch, whether it's a linebacker or a safety with that kind of height, because he's a pretty tall guy, right? Am I thinking right, Harold Fannin? And he like 6'4",
6'4" or something. Yeah.
You guys know who I love, Oronde Gadsden II. Jake, I see is in the chat here. Jake, what do you think about Oronde Gadsden? I'm in love with that dude. Yeah, I said it. You can clip it.
Clip it. It don't matter. Jake Shavink says Colston Loveland at 23 season is upon us.
I was waiting for something.
The grade we've got on him, Jake, is 18.1. He would be well worth the 23rd pick, right? Matter of fact, if we go back to just sorting by grade, let's see where he lands exactly on our board here. Colston Loveland is sitting in the 15 spot for us. So that would make a whole lot of sense at 23. If they like him that much, right? I can't imagine they would spend too much time visiting him and expecting him to drop to, what's our second round pick, Tim? Is it 58? Am I thinking right? Something like that.
Let's see. We can put the banner back up.
Yeah,
54. I think it's 54.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I hope Musgrave works out. And again, I appreciate and respect the fact that he was able to play through that injury somewhat. But, it's a tough league. That's a tough position. Real tough position. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to talk about here? We got a few more minutes. I'm going to go back to Twitter and just make sure we're not missing out on anything. I think this is awesome that we got all that breaking news while we were on the air. It was a lot of fun, man. Now it's saying the most. Go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, I just a lot of people in the chat are saying that Musgrave really hasn't gotten a great opportunity. He got hurt. Obviously had the situation where he was kind of like a baby deer out there, man. He couldn't find his footing, but I'm guilty of it, obviously, that I think we should probably not give up on him just yet, but I'm trying to look down the road. I mean, before you know it, that initial contract's up, and if he's not providing the type of juice that we need at that position for what we drafted him at, that's kind of my opinion there. Jake Shavink talks about Oronde Gadsden is a stud, body control, high point ability, essentially a big wide receiver. If I'm not mistaken, he did switch from receiver to tight end his freshman year. If they want him to contribute as a blocker and create positionless players in the formation, it could take some time. Okay.
Got it. Appreciate the update there. Let's pull up Musgrave here real quick on PFF. Let's take a quick gander. All right. PFF grade in 2023, 68.1 looked good. Last year, only 160 snaps. He dropped to a 47.1. So hopefully it works out for Musgrave. Last year was a huge step back, but again, 160 snaps as opposed to 502. You'd like to think he's closer to that 68 when healthy than he is that 47, right? So we'll see if he bounces back. And if we were to go to, let me pull up the PFF big board real quick, and let's look at some of these tight ends since we were talking about it here, and see exactly what they look like in terms of their grades. I know, Jacob, you're always reading them off, but it's kind of hard for people to understand. They see the visualization. It's a little bit easier to understand how good a player is. So let's go to, this is the PFF big board. Again, it's not everything, but a lot of information here for us to dive into. Ty Warren is the number 1 tight end. He's currently ranked 8th on their big board. Colston Loveland is ranked 29th for them. We've got him significantly higher. His PFF grades 57, 75, and 85. Next is Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. They've got him in the 58 spot. His PFF grades 54, 48, 71. That 48 only 69 snaps that year. Mason Taylor, 58, 60, and 67. He's in the 71 spot for PFF. Terrence Ferguson, we talked about him a little bit earlier today. He's in the 76 spot. 6'5", 255, 64, 67, and 73 for him. Here's Harold Fanning Jr. They got him listed at 6'4". Jim, he's only 20 years old, man.
That's what I said, man.
Cody DiCaprio, baby.
We were talking about that, and he's an absolute freak, too.
He's in the 99 spot for them, right?
Yep.
PFF grade 68, 85, 95, the top ranked tight end in all of college football the last 2 years. Goody approves here. Goody DiCaprio.
What's interesting too is if you read Harold Fanning's like summary right there, they say his blocking reps are good enough to keep him in line as a tight end 2 or as a wing back on occasion. That seems perfect for what we would ask him to do, right?
No block, no rock.
Hey, there you go. Gunnar Helm out of Texas, 6'5", 250. He's in the 113 spot. His PFF grades are dookie. We'll keep it moving. Mitchell Evans out of Notre Dame, 6'5", 260. He's built like a tank. PFF grade 65, jumped to a 79, and then last year dropped back down to a 65. Played the most snaps he's ever played last year too, so it wasn't a small sample size. Being at 141, that might be a late round dude that you know if you really fall in love with the athleticism. Benjamin Urosek, 6'4", 245 out of Georgia. He's in the 145 spot, 60, 66, and 60. Jake Browningstool in the 152 spot. Jackson Halls out of Georgia Tech in the 162 spot. We've got Thomas Fadone, the second out of Nebraska, 169. Caden Prieskorn, if I'm saying that right, Prieskorn, 6'6", 255 in the 190 spot. Jalen Conyers.
I like him.
Yeah, Conyers is one of those guys that kind of stood out to me a little bit as far as because you can see the drop off at tight end. It's real similar to like what we talked about with corner.
Yep.
You know, there's a good pool of talent, but if you don't go early, these guys are they're gonna fly off the board, and you're gonna be picking up scraps at the end. So, but I like Conyers here towards the bottom of this list. Feel like he's got good grades. I mean, we're just basing it off PFF, but he might be a late round steal.
Yeah, CJ Dupree out of Bama, 215. He's gotten his grades pretty bad the last 2 years. Luke Lackey, I think is how you say the name, 6'6", 247 out of Iowa. He's gotten worse every year according to the PFF grades. Here's your boy, Aronde Gadsden. How the hell does he grade out 82, 80, 82, but then they have him at 225 on the PFF Big Board? Somebody explain that to me.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
That's what I'm saying, man. I would love that guy. Clip it.
I can't figure it out.
Explain it. I can't. I mean, it defies logic. It really does.
21.7, but I mean, you know, like decent sized school. Like they said, I think the biggest thing that his knock is that he's not a great blocker, but he's willing. And at 6'5", if we put 10 pounds on him, you can't tell me that we can't at least teach him how to chip, you know?
Yeah. Here's what the scouting report said. Gadsden is intriguing due to being a potential size mismatch as a big slot receiver, but his blocking impact is a net negative, and his lack of agility resulted in low separation rates. He will likely be a late day 3 pick or an undrafted free agent for an offense that likes his size. If he was so bad at separation and lacked in agility, why did you score him so high? Like how did that's what blows my mind. It's like I don't.
He broke the Syracuse. Sorry, he broke the Syracuse receiving record his last year or two. Like almost 1,000 yards receiving. I think he had 7 touchdowns. Like, you know, I don't know what else they want him to do.
Yeah, could be a big wide receiver drafted late. You know, that's what it kind of feels like there, right? So, All right. So that's your tight end preview. Didn't have that in the show notes, but I'm glad we hit it real quick for sure. Let me take one more look at the news and we'll wrap up here. Says this is Tom Pelissero. DK Metcalf wanted a fresh start, a new contract, most important, a chance to win. He didn't mention that before. He did not, according to his representation, say anything about playing in warm climate. Metcalf is all in on playing in Pittsburgh in the rugged AFC North. So he didn't say that. I ain't say that. He said, don't put that word in my mouth right there.
Well, who reported it then? Let's roast them.
Yeah, who was that? Do y'all remember? Who was it that reported that? We reported it, didn't we?
We know it came out of Seattle. We know that.
Let's see who it was. I'm trying to think because we tweeted that out. When I tweeted it out, I actually mentioned, like, why didn't he mention anything about wanting to win there, right? I'm trying to go back in time here and see if I could find it. I'm not seeing it anywhere. I think was it not Diana Rossini? It was Diana Rossini. It was a video we played, remember?
Yeah.
That's what it was, yeah. It was Diana Rossini on Gojo and Golic. So
there you go.
Yeah. said there's a lot of teams interested, but after I put that first and third report out, I started getting texts from teams like, yeah, right, way too much. I don't think they land on that. I just think for right now, their asking price, that's their asking price. So we'll see if that lowers a bit. But in that video is where she said, and I actually, in my quote tweet, I kept waiting for her to say DK wants to win. So he doesn't want to play in cold weather. He wants to be paid top receiver money, and he wants to play with a stable quarterback. Interesting. There's not a stable quarterback in Pittsburgh right now. It's not warm weather. So that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
Nope. Sure doesn't.
Does anything make sense this time of year, Tim? It's lying.
No, that's why 90% of this crap I just ignore, because we all find out what the truth is when the time is right. And tomorrow's going to be no exception. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow for sure.
It is. And we're going to try to go live as quick as we can tomorrow if a bunch of news breaks. I explained earlier on the morning show that got a lot going on tomorrow. Mother-in-law, open heart surgery. So we're going to be at the hospital. I'm going to be taking care of some stuff at work as well. So if everything works out the way I think it will, there's a chance I can do kind of a late afternoon show in case news did break. Last year we were able to kind of stick around the office and be able to hit on stuff as it came in. It's going to be a little bit more difficult this year. So I know many people reached out, thoughts and prayers, all that. Really, really appreciate y'all taking the time to do that for sure. But if y'all would hit that like button, we're about to crack 700. If everybody hit that like button right now, we'd probably boost us over 700. There'll be some people on YouTube going, why is this popping up on my feed? And why does he sound like an ignorant redneck? And that'll get us over 700, and that's good enough, right? So I'm willing to take that tongue lashing. All right. Anything else, fellas, as we wrap up here? Tim, you got the floor, sir.
I'm glad we dodged the bullet. We didn't overpay for DK. I'm happy. I'll take it. Jacob, anything?
No, I completely agree. And in that same vein, as much as I would have loved to have the reunion of Devontae back in the green and gold, I'm not willing to pay what he got. So good for him. Good for Aaron Jones. We'll have our time. Don't burn your hair. Don't freak out. I feel like we need to just wait till tomorrow. And even if something doesn't happen tomorrow, just be chill, be cool. We got this.
Everything's going to be all right. And
all right.
We appreciate everybody in the chat not telling us to do dirty things to Goody. Okay.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate that. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. We'll see y'all tomorrow sometime. If news breaks, I'll try to get us a show out really, really early. You'll just see us go live. We will definitely be back no later than 7 p.m. Central tomorrow to talk about all of the news around the league, whether Green Bay made a move or not. The other, most recent signings around the north, everything. We'll be back here for it tomorrow night. Thank y'all so much. Hit that like button. We will talk to you tomorrow.
And we go.
All right.
Bye, guys.